So if you're in your 20s or 30s and you work on a laptop, you've probably considered being a digital nomad. With remote work now commonplace for white-collar jobs, more and more Americans moving to South America, Eastern Europe and Southeast Asia, it's never been an easier time to move your entire life abroad. Now, I have a remote job and I recently tried being a digital nomad myself. I spent 1 month in Buenos Aires, Argentina, which is a very popular destination for people following this lifestyle. I went there with every intention of it being the start of my journey as a digital nomad in 2024, and I thought it would be a good thing for me. But after 1 month, I have decided it would be a very bad idea. And I think a lot of the same reasons will apply to you guys who watch my channel. So let's get into why I think being a digital nomad is the wrong move in your 20s. Starting off with the most fundamental reason. Here's what I think is the number one biggest problem with being a digital nomad. As a young person, hopefully you have things in life that you're trying to achieve and build. This might be to get a better body, to get a promotion, to start a business, or maybe if you watch my channel, to become more stylish. And personally, I've been working on a combination of these things for around a year now. When you're working on yourself, you have all these things in your life that are moving, that are unsteady. And that's good that they're unsteady because you don't want them to stay where they are. They need to be unstable and changing. But to focus on moving things in the right direction, you need stability in the other areas of your life. Otherwise, it's like trying to build a new house while the ground underneath you is moving. So myself and my other friends who have experimented with the digital nomad lifestyle have noticed how distracting constantly changing your environment can be. Living in Airbnbs, cafe hopping all day, even just changing your gym can throw a wrench into your routines. It creates all this mental chaos that you just don't need when you're focusing on your goals. One of the things that people love about being a digital nomad is that your money goes further outside the US. This is the idea of geo-arbitrage, where you earn in dollars and then spend in a country that has a lower cost of living. I definitely experienced this to the extreme in Argentina. My girlfriend and I were eating every single meal out, going out for cocktails, taking Ubers everywhere, taking day trips and excursions. We really did live without looking at the price of stuff, which is what everybody wants to achieve financially. Even for the two of us, we didn't spend more than about $100 a day. But here's the problem. When you can live so comfortably on what's a fairly average salary in the US, where is your drive and motivation to earn more money? I think living in these countries can create a false sense of security and accomplishment. And you won't see the kind of wealth that inspires you. For example, living in London and LA, you see the most impressive cars, beautiful designer shops, the world's best restaurants. And even though I couldn't afford these things myself, it opened up my mind to what is possible. So although I don't believe in the law of attraction per se, I do think that you absorb what is around you and that you can become the product of your own thoughts. Being in a country where the cars, the clothes and the houses are all of a much lower standard, it's not going to get your imagination working and open up your financial intelligence. If you're an ambitious young man with an able mind, I don't think there's anywhere better to be than the US. I recently heard a men's influencer, Chris Williamson, you might have heard about him before. He was talking about when he moved from the UK, like me, to the US. He was saying that the mindset and the energy of the people that you're around is so motivating and so inspiring. And when I was in Argentina, I could feel this energy was missing and I really hated not being around it. Environment is a huge factor in your growth, so putting yourself in a place where you're too comfortable can be lethal in my opinion. Another big downside to being a digital nomad is it's 100% going to be harder to grow your career while working remotely. That applies to both a 9-to-5 job or a business owner, but most people work a 9-to-5, so let's talk about that. When you're just the guy on Zoom or a name on Slack, it's so much harder to make personal connections and grow your career. And it's not the fault of your boss or your teammates, it's just very difficult to make that chemistry happen when you're communicating electronically. Now, I've noticed this firsthand because I have a remote job, but most of the people in my company work in person together in New York City. It was only when I spent some time on a business trip in New York and I was in the office socializing with others, making an impression in meetings, that I was able to elevate my career. And during that trip, I was able to lay the groundwork for a promotion that a few months later I was able to achieve, but I know I would not have got that promotion if I hadn't been able to make the connection with my boss in person. So the language barrier is something that a lot of digital nomads think is just no big deal. I've seen a lot of these guys just not really take learning the language very seriously. The truth is, you can get by ordering food and taking taxis without really speaking the language very well. But you're going to massively limit your experience of living in a country and integrating if you can only speak English. Now, hablo español muy bueno, but I found this to be a very difficult part of living in Argentina. I'm a pretty social, extroverted guy, right? I like talking to people. It was so weird for me to not be able to strike up that conversation in a bar or a cafe with someone. I remember thinking, is this what social anxiety feels like? I have something to say, I want to say it, but I just can't. It feels like there's a physical barrier between us. And even aside from the language barrier, being abroad just reminds you how friendly Americans are. And that is massively important when it comes to networking. One of the things that I love about America is that you could just walk into a bar in New York at lunchtime, and as long as you look presentable and you can hold a conversation, you could make a connection with a really powerful person in a totally natural way. That is way less likely to happen in a country that's not part of the first world. Now, I've left this one to last, even though I know it's one of the biggest factors that people consider when moving abroad. If you're familiar with the passport bros movement, you'll know that the primary reason these guys become nomads is to date foreign women. They think that women in Latin America, Eastern Europe, and Southeast Asia are more likely to be traditional and make a better partner than a Western woman. The Red Pill community often thinks that Western women are brainwashed with feminism and wokeism, and that's why they can't find a good girl over here in America. Now, if you've seen my content before, you'll know that I do not share this view of Western women. Now, because I am in a long-term relationship and I was in Argentina with my girlfriend, I didn't get any first-hand experience of dating as a nomad, but I can tell you this, there are some major cultural differences that you'll have to adapt to if you want to participate in either short-term or long-term dating. I'm talking about big differences in views like religion, contraception, hookup culture. So there's nothing wrong with dating outside of your usual culture, and I'm sure this can be a very enriching experience. Having said that, if you have to go abroad to find your wife because there's no good women in America, there's probably something wrong with you. Gentlemen, this video is purely for discussion and polite debate. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about my experience as somebody who was very pro-nomad, but after some time abroad, very much against it. Of course, this is all about what worked/didn't work for me. For you, being a nomad could be a totally different experience, and it could be a very productive environment for you. But at a time where leaving the US is being so romanticized online, I wanted to remind everyone of the things that we have to be grateful for in this country. Gentlemen, I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever considered being a digital nomad? Perhaps you already are one, and if so, where do you live? Do you agree with the points that I've made, or do you disagree, and why? I know this video is a little bit off topic for my channel, but being as it was a big important experience for me, and I know that a lot of guys have probably considered doing this or have done it themselves, then I thought it was worth talking about, and I hope you've enjoyed hearing about my experience. As always, I look forward to chatting with you all in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.